I won't be keeping the Tascam Model 12, and let me explain why. So I am going to be making some music today, but I just wanted to go over this first, and maybe it'll help people and keep someone from making what I feel like was the mistake that I made. So first off, still no MPC One Plus. It's been about a month now, or it's been a month now, and don't have any word yet. And it's kind of been driving me crazy because I got so used to using the Tascam Model 12 and the MPC One Plus to make music. But since I haven't had the MPC One Plus, using the Model 12 has actually created a bunch of problems, and that's why I'm not using it at this moment. I'm actually using the interface that I already owned, the Arturia Audio Fuse Rev 2, which is a phenomenal audio interface that I'll definitely be holding on to. Now, I tend to go into an audio interface and out into my camera so that I can use a microphone. And the first negative that I've noticed about the Tascam Model 12 is the preamps. So I paid $600 for it. And for a $600 interface, I don't think this thing has preamps that are nearly good enough. The Audio Fuse Rev 2 cost me, I think, $800 when I purchased it. So they're in the same price range. And to me, the Tascam Model 12's preamps sound about on par with like a Focusrite Scarlett. They're just not as high quality preamps, and all of the music that I've made using the Model 12 versus the Audio Fuse, I can really hear the difference in the quality of the preamps. And there's also a lot more noise introduced when I use the Tascam Model 12. For instance, right now I'm recording into the Audio Fuse, and I have the gain on the input channel that I'm going into at about 1 o'clock, and there's really no noise. I'm actually going out of the headphone jack of the Audio Fuse and into my camera, because since I'm only utilizing one of the inputs, it was giving me a mono audio signal when I went out of the speaker outputs in the back. And even using the headphone output into the camera, it sounds extremely clear. I recorded a video before this for my other channel, my skateboarding channel. And when I listened back, and especially with these Beyerdynamic DT1770s, which they're pretty flat frequency response headphones, for as flat as you can get for closed backs, and they really do reveal a lot about the sound. This thing just sounds amazing, and the Tascam Model 12 does not live up to that. Now, I didn't necessarily purchase the Model 12 because of its preamps. I actually purchased it because of the EQ that's on board and the compressor. See, sometimes I feel like voices just sound nice and smooth with that compression. And I do enjoy the one knob compressor. I think it does make your voice sound good. It's nice to have when I'm recording bass guitar so that I can just compress the signal going in. And it's nice to have the EQ. But I found that the EQ is okay. It's not great. And I can get better results just recording a clean signal with the Audio Fuse and having all of that headroom, and then just work on the signal once I've recorded it with the Audio Fuse. So then we get to the big thing that turns me off with the Model 12, which is routing. So routing everything is just a pain. And the Model 12 does come with a big, thick instruction manual, but reading through that is a pain. And I ended up going online to find out how to fix a lot of my routing issues. There's a lot of things that bother me. For instance, it only has XLR speaker output. And so if I'd have to use the submix output to use quarter-inch cables. So there was an extra cable that I had to get. And going out of that output, whenever I go into my camera directly from the Model 12, there is noise that is introduced. And everything that I tried, removing things from the table, keeping my phone away from it, nothing worked. There's always that little bit of noise that I had to work around. The Tascam Model 12 overall, I just found was a pretty noisy unit compared to my audio fuse, and even compared to the Focusrite Scarlett that I used to have years ago, like the first generation. The Model 12 is noisier than that. The only other thing that I have that I would compare the Model 12 to as far as noise is my Zoom H5 recorder. They have about the same amount of noisiness. Actually, that's not true. I think the Model 12 is noisier than that. The other thing is, I purchased the Model 12 thinking that I would use the onboard recording. And I'll give you a little bit of a background. I first started recording on a tape 4-track, back in the early 2000s. And I didn't record music for a really long time. I had a friend, he left a DP-08 Tascam recorder at my place, and I picked that up and started recording with that. And I'd heard that the recording function on the Model 12 is similar to that. It's not. It is more difficult to use, more difficult to set up. The mixing on that DP-08 worked easier as far as I can tell. I never really had any issues with that. The Model 12 is just has so many issues as far as I'm concerned. And another thing is the headphone output. The headphone, first I had to go through this whole thing of making sure the PFL APL light was turned off. And then when I finally got my headphone signal to come out, it sounded awkward. It just sounded like crap. And I went and set up the main out so I could listen to them at the same time. And the main out sounded fine. The headphone out still sounded like crap. Disconnected the main out, kept the headphone, and for the life of me, I couldn't get the headphone out to sound good. So that meant I couldn't monitor noiselessly while I'm using the Model 12. Now that might be a failure on my part, but I went online and there was a setting that I saw people using so that they could change it so that it was a stereo out of the headphone out, and I thought maybe that was my problem. I did all that, and no, the headphone out still sounded like crap, even with these very nice headphones that I'm monitoring from my camera right now, and they sound amazing. When I monitor from the audio fuse, they sound amazing. When I monitor from the Zoom recorder, they sound amazing. It's only using the Model 12 that I have this issue. And yeah, for a unit that costs this much, the learning curve for this device and the noisiness of this device and just the strange routing decisions that they made with this device. It's not something that I've fallen in love with. And honestly, I really don't think it's worth the price, because there are compressors that you can use with your audio interface if it has inserts, if you want compression going in, that you can buy for like $100 that'll do the job. You can find used audio fused Rev 2s, I believe, for cheaper than you can find Model 12s, even though they've come down on the price of the Model 12 a bit. And yeah, maybe this is a me thing, but all of the questions I see online, all of the forum questions I see online, seems like most people have some sort of difficulty using this thing. And yeah, it's just kind of a clunker in my opinion. So I'm probably going to be selling this thing off because I just don't see myself ever falling in love with it. And it's just presented me with so many issues since I've had it. And I'll figure out how to get around one issue and it'll create another issue. I remember even figuring out how to get the effects to work properly was a pain. And yeah, I haven't even recorded anything into this. And just little things like my SD card slot here, this little thing, it won't stay closed. Like I'll get it closed and then at some point it'll pop open again. Just little things with the quality of this that for a $600, I believe it was, mixer / recorder, I don't think it should have these issues, so I'm not going to keep it. Enough about the Model 12 and my gripes with it. Okay, so I've got my iPad Pro out. This is the 2021 M1 iPad Pro 12.9. I got Logic Pro for iPad out, and I'm going into the iPad Pro with the AudioFuse Rev 2. I'm also speaking into it through my AKG D5 that's going into input 1. And this just worked seamlessly, whereas to set this up on the Model 12, it's kind of crazy because they finally made it so that you could select which track you wanted to use. You could use track 9, 10 as the where you get your audio back from your DAW. But before that, so that update came after I'd purchased the Model 12. And before that, it was like a nightmare setting it up. And then even when I did get it set up, once they put that firmware update through, there's always noise. So I'm going to pick a drum kit now. And let's see. What do I want? Got the Lindrum. Let's see. Yep, I guess it's going to be the Lindrum. Unpredictable. Let me go into the settings. File size, bit depth, project settings, metronome settings. Metronome volume's at 90. 90 is good, I believe. Counting is 1 bar. I'll keep it at 1 bar because sometimes I like to use 2 bars, but I guess it's not necessary today. And let's set the loop. Let's start with a 2-bar loop. So here we go. All right, that works. Let's lay down a snare. Sounds good to me. All right, I'm going to quantize it. Let's do 16th notes. I actually like it better, even though it got rid of the accent that I had put on that that hi-hat pedal. I'm all right with it. Sounds good. All right, let's make another track. Do another MIDI track. Clear that. Let's pick a bass. So we got the 808. No. Copy. Paste. Okay. got it. And I'm going to open up a new track. I really should be using my MIDI keyboard for this, but I don't feel like it. Gonna find a synth sound, so. Okay, let's open up that piano roll again. I see another dumb note. Yep, there it is. Let's get rid of boom. Aha, not again. There we go, I'm getting the hang of it. So all right, let's put a little bit of guitar on this. Okay, so got my Jazzmaster out. I'm going into channel 3 of the audio fuse, which is just a bare channel with no preamp. And I'm going into that with my with my 2 notes Revolt, which is a 3-channel guitar preamp. It's got a 12AX7 tube, gives it some warmth, some saturation, that old school feel. I don't have any effects on it at the moment. That's one of the things that I love about the audio fuse as well, is that it has those channels that you can go in through with another preamp. You know, I have another tube preamp that I like to use to sing through. And yeah, I can just use that preamp. So I don't double up on preamps like you would have to with certain other interfaces. The Model 12 has an insert point and you can use that. But I also found that was kind of noisy. So I'm going to record this. Just going to record that real quick. So. See how it sounds. Cool. That sounds pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the balance of these things good, and then I'm gonna play a little bit of guitar solo, and then I'm gonna get on out of here. Okay, let's get a guitar solo going, and then I'll get out of you guys' hair. So that's what I got. Yeah, after recording that, I think I'll definitely be passing on the Tascam Model 12. The ease of use for this audio fuse Rev 2 from Arturia, the fact that it comes with their V-Synths, like the Analog Lab collection is amazing. Like, you really don't need any other V-Sense if you have it. I don't know if you guys have used it. I have a couple Arturia products. I've had a lot of them over the years. I'm not affiliated with them or any music company in any way. The only company that's ever sent me music gear was Artiphone. They sent me an Orba 2. That thing was pretty fun to play with. But yeah, I buy all my gear. I love the AudioFuse Rev 2. It's really easy to integrate with a video setup as well. And the Model 12, for everything that it offers, it doesn't do anything great. And for that price, you could create a setup easier. Like, one of the other mixers that I tried, it was a Mackie mixer that I actually purchased before I bought the Model 12. And it did sound a bit cleaner than the Model 12. I ended up passing it on because I didn't think the effects sounded great. But it was a little bit cheaper, and you could even find a smaller version. And you could get that. And there are some other interfaces that have clean preamps that are cheap, like the Universal Audio Volt interfaces. I hear are pretty clean. I'm trying to think of the other brand. They make those silver interfaces. A lot of people swear by those. You can get into those for like $300, and so you could get yourself a mixer and that, or just run with the interface and use any inserts or use any plugins that you need for your sound. And I don't think most people need the headache that the Model 12 brings. Not to just bash the product, but yeah, I just haven't had a seamless, easy experience. And for me, like, when I make music, I just want to make music. When I record something for YouTube, I just want to record something for YouTube. I don't want to go through layers and layers of setting things up. And then once I get one thing working, the headphone out doesn't work properly. So I've got to monitor a different way. And, yeah, I've just had all kinds of problems with that Model 12. I think you can go back to some of my other videos and see how difficult it was to use. So I'm going to stick with the Arturia interface that I've been using for a while. I love that thing. Also, Logic Pro for iPad, pretty sick. I've had it for a while, haven't used it very much because I was very much in a romance with the MPC One Plus. I can't wait to get it back. I hope that I don't have those issues loading my samples. But for the meantime, I'll be making music with Logic Pro for iPad, at least for my drums. Because for some reason, whenever I try to make drums with Logic Pro on my laptop, it doesn't work out so well. But it was pretty easy here on Logic Pro for iPad. So that's how I'm going to run it. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.